What's going on, internet? It's the Masked Man here today with another video. And today I want to talk about why I hate prank phone calls. Now, um, if you don't know, I'm a bit of a media junkie. I listen to pretty much anything, that I can get my hands on. Mostly entertainment. Mostly things that are intended to be entertainment. And I'm a huge fan of comedy. Comedy is by far my favorite form of entertainment, and it is my favorite art form. Um, and if you listen to, a lot of black radio shows, if you are a fan of black radio shows or radio in general, I'll say radio in general. Um, One thing that they've been doing, for many years is prank phone calls. And while prank phone calls, are a decent, they're good for a quick laugh. They're good to be funny because of how outrageous they are. I just think at this point, in the game, in year 2015, I think they either need to update how they present prank phone calls, or they just need to stop doing them altogether and find another bit, to do. Now, I understand that as far as entertainment goes, as far as producing a show, as far as making a show, not everything presented to the public as real can actually be real. I understand that. And I don't expect everything that I watch on television or everything that I watch in a show to be real. It prob in most cases, for what television and movies and everything is going for what their goal is, for what they're trying to accomplish, they really can't do real reality and make that interesting consistently. If you were actually doing real prank phone calls with real people all the time, and it was never actors, it was never staged, it wouldn't be a segment that you could do 5 days a week. Now, one of the main people that's still doing prank phone calls, probably the only person that's doing prank phone calls, is a guy by the name of Nephew Tommy from the Steve Harvey Morning Show. And I like Steve Harvey's show. I really do like Steve Harvey's radio show. I think it's a very strong show. I really appreciate how much effort they put into, making a real radio show, as opposed to his fellow king of comedy, D.L. Hughley, who doesn't quite put as much effort into having a show. Now, maybe that has to do with his show coming on in the evening. Maybe that's a creative thing, but just as a show, Steve Harvey actually attempts to put on a show. Like it or not, I can tell that there's effort behind it. But Nephew Tommy, I believe his real name is Thomas Miles. He does these prank phone calls, and he does them, every show. And I'm just at a point now where it's hard for me to take these prank calls seriously. It's hard for me to believe that these calls are real, that these are real people, that this is actually happening, because you're not telling a good enough story with the people that you're calling. You're not telling a good enough story with the people who are supposed, to be outraged with the content. You're not doing a good enough job to get me to believe it. You know, when I'm listening to these phone calls, all I can think of is a few things, or more than a few things, and I wrote them down, and I got a point by point. If somebody if somebody you do not know calls you out of the blue and they're saying outrageous things, why doesn't anybody ever say, I'm gonna call the police in these prank phone calls? You never hear, I'm gonna call the police. You never, or you rarely ever, have the person on the phone hang up the phone. They rarely ever hang up the phone. Somebody you don't know calls you out the blue, says they know one of your associates, or just, in most cases, in most of these phone calls, they just ask your name. They call you and they know what your name is, and they maybe know what town you're in or where you work. Nobody ever just hangs up on these people. You never, like, that's what a real person would do. A real person, if they're getting some kind of outrageous bullshit from a stranger, they would hang up on them. So I'm saying, like, why isn't there an escalation to this thing? They go from 0 to 100 real quick, but it's never call, listen to you for a few seconds, try to figure out what's going on, realize that you're ridiculous, hang up on them. Then the pranker calls them back, and then they're a little bit more agitated, hang up on them again, then calls them back a little bit more. Like, that's what would really happen. That's how you would actually get a real human being to get to that level. That's how you would get a real person to get that angry. Now, of course, some people are crazy, and some people will go, right to 100, right to a 10 on the volume scale. They go automatically to the extreme. But most people, even people, that people think are crazy, is just not gonna have, knock down, drag out arguments with strangers over the telephone. At least without not feeling, until they felt like they were being harassed. Another point I had: why are people even answering these numbers at all? Um, I don't know about most people, but I am, I am a former, well, not a former. I'm not a former. I'm a college graduate, so I got a lot of student loan debts, and I'm, not able to pay them any money. So I would imagine that anybody who works for a radio station, anybody who is, you know, some notable person, they're probably not calling the person that is being pranked from a local line, from a local number. They're probably calling from either a blocked number, or they're calling from, a 1-800 number, a Google phone number. They're calling from some strange, weird ass phone number that would pop up on everybody's cell phone. There's almost nobody with a house phone anymore. So you see this weird ass, strange ass number, and most people, even if they didn't go to college, have debtors and people who owe you, people who you owe money to, or people who are seeking to get money from you. 9 times out of 10, they're the only people who call you from a blocked number, or an unavailable number, or a 1-800 number, or a number outside of your state. So why are these people even answering the phone to begin with? And why won't they, if you are expecting me to buy into the bit, Why aren't they addressing the fact that you called them from a block number? Um, Nobody ever cops a plea. Now, I'm going to get back to that point when I run down some of the pranks that I could think of just off the top of my head that these shows have tried to present and pass off as legitimate, as real things. Like these things really happen, but nobody ever cops a plea. Nobody ever begs. Nobody's ever scared. Nobody's no no nobody is nobody feels worried. Everybody is tough. Everybody is strong. No matter what the circumstance is, or what the stakes, or who calls them, how minor the issue, how major the issue, life or death, everybody responds to the same way. Motherfucker, I'm gonna beat your ass. Don't call me with that bullshit. I'm gonna beat your ass. You gonna get your ass whooped. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna beat you up. Fuck you, motherfucker. Bleeped out, of course, because it's on radio. Bleeped out. But that's ridiculous. In some of these instances, people would be chill. In some of these instances, people would be crying. People would be scared. People would be a whole lot of things other than ready to fight. Now, let's look at these pranks that motherfuckers have either cussed niggas out over or were willing to fight over. Your kid was musty, so I gave him some deodorant. My kid clean. Fuck you, motherfucker. I beat your ass. I beat your ass. Is it really that unreasonable that your kid, like, unless you personally bathe your children before they go to school and you make sure that they already have deodorant on, it's not outside the realm of possibility that your child is musty. It's not that far-fetched. It's not some unbelievable thing. You know, kids get older. Most children don't walk around wearing deodorant. Their body changes. Some of them don't take as good or as thorough baths as they should. Um, Shit happens. The fact that somebody was so unreasonable and so inconsolable about something that a parent would actually take, into consideration. I mean, unless it's against your religion or it's against your belief to have chemicals on your child, like like that's not something that you do. You believe that deodorant or whatever causes cancer, and you feel like that person subjected your child, to harm or carcinogens. Unless that's your unless that's your frame of mind, then this really is a non-issue. Like, this is really something that you should be reasonable about. Nope. Willing to fight, cussing motherfuckers out, just straight to a 10. I know my child clean. Well, you may be right. And in this case, it wasn't a real phone call. But was it a real call at all? Was this person an actor? Is what it makes you question. We think you stealing from your job. Now this the one that really bothers me. Now I would assume that most of these people are, either working minimum wage jobs or lower management. Like, they're not an executive. They're not in a position of power at these companies. This person is an employee. They depend on this job for their life. If they don't have this job, then they're going to be on the street. This the person doesn't talk um with any sort of indication, not that there's any indication by how you speak, what you do in life, but obviously from how this situation is presented to you, you can tell that this is not a person that's in a position of power. This is not a person that runs shit. This is an employee. So your job calls you and accuses you of stealing, or your job calls you and accuses you of anything. There's been several employers, you know, you was watching porn, um, you can't use your own internet. Several calls from people who are, you know, in a position in a position of authority over others. And they immediately go into cussing out who we are to believe is their boss. Like, who are these niggas? Like, who are these niggas that are so quick to cuss out their supervisor and cuss out their boss and tell their boss fuck you? Like who are all these people? Nigga, I had a job at Walmart. I worked at Walmart. Back when I had a job. Still looking for a job. I'm certainly not wealthy. Um, um, I'm looking for a job. But back then I worked at Walmart. And these people made anywhere from the people I work with made anywhere from $9 an hour all the way up to about 19, doing the same thing, stocking groceries. Um, the people in when I worked there were many different, management teams. It was constantly changing, and I was only there for under a year, and several supervisors came and went. Now, as you can imagine, some people would be liked and some people would be disliked, but almost never was there a confrontation between people who had been on the job for any length of time and the management. They would talk all kind of shit when the manager or whoever or supervisor wasn't around, but when they got around them, they were very cordial. So you expect me to believe that people, that make minimum wage are going to deal with just straight up ass bullshit to their face. They're going to just take it up the ass, but this person on the phone, they're probably making enough money to support their whole life, 30,000, 40,000. They're making enough money to live off of, but they're willing to cuss out their boss and just crash and burn. Like, what they gonna do after they cuss their boss out? They gonna go into work and everything gonna be fine? It was a misunderstanding. Come on, man. Get me to believe that this is actually happening. Let the boss say something out of pocket and be like, man, I need this job, but you ain't just gonna disrespect me as a man. You just ain't gonna disrespect me as a woman. Like, do that. There's been, you're too loud, I'm gonna beat your ass. You didn't cut my grass right, I'm gonna beat your ass. Your truck ran over my whatever, I'm gonna beat your ass. Your husband or wife may be cheating, I'm gonna beat your ass. Now it is believable that somebody would be like, oh, my wife is cheating. You cheating with my wife, you cheating with my husband, I'm gonna beat your ass. But why in the many times that these pranks are done, does nobody ever have a breakdown? Does nobody ever burst into tears? Does nobody ever lose their composure and start saying shit like, Lord, why? Like, why is this happening to me? I gave them my life. I loved them. I did everything for them, and they did this to me. Like, why ain't they having that kind of a reaction? Especially the women. Why isn't there that kind of like world because that breaks down people, very, very strongly. That really breaks motherfuckers down when they find out or feel like their spouse is cheating on them. Now they actually believe that something is going on or that somebody is messing around with their significant other, but their reaction, which I can believe is violent, but it's always violent. Why is it always violent? The church calls you, a deacon calls you, a pastor calls you, and you automatically ready to fight. Really? You trying to go to blows with the pastor? You trying to go to blows with the deacon? Now, I have heard of fights breaking out in church. I've heard of fights breaking out in church. But every time, no matter what the issue is, no matter how significant it is, you just ready to fight somebody at your church. And this is my absolute favorite. My absolute favorite. The one I love. The one I love the most. Police officer called this woman, a man who he believed. Let me just say it like it is, because I'm talking about one individual, but I'm just talking about pranks in general. Tommy posed as a police officer. He called this woman and he said, I got a fax for you. What's the fax number? Sent a fax, and she said that it was a warrant for her arrest. And in the rest of the call, she just began cursing him out, saying that she's not going to be arrested. Whoop-de, 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 whoop-de. So, police officer calls you, send a warrant for your arrest to your job, and you worried about the fact that he sent the warrant to your job and how that's going to affect your job. You're threatening the police officer that your boyfriend is going to come down there and do something to the cop. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. That's why I hate prank phone calls. I hate prank phone calls not because I expect them to always be real. I hate them because they don't respect my intelligence. Have some respect for my intelligence and put variety into the game. Put other elements into the game. Let there be some kind of surreal element, Let it shouldn't always be something that makes you laugh if you want me to believe it's real. Sometimes it should make me uncomfortable. Sometimes it should make me feel bad. Sometimes it should make me, not like you as a person for what you're doing to people. If you want me to actually buy in to the idea that this is a real thing, this is a real prank, like you're really pranking people, because human beings have a variety of reactions to the same situation. I don't want to see prank phone calls go away, and I don't want them to actually try to make every prank phone call real. And in all actuality, I don't even know that all prank phone calls or any prank phone call is fake. I'm just saying it looks very fake from my perspective. And in order to maintain the integrity, in order to maintain the entertainment value, in order to make them more appealing, in order to make it popular, in order to make it something that people invest in more and care about more and talk about and tweet and share, to make those calls a viral thing, you gotta add variety to the game. You gotta switch it up. You gotta tell a better story. You gotta have people react different. You gotta have people hang up multiple times. You gotta have people trying to get away from you. You gotta have people who are scared. You gotta have people who are heartbroken. You gotta have people who don't want to fight. You gotta have people who are calm. You gotta have people who are irritated, annoyed. You gotta have a range of emotions to get me to buy into the bit. I know it's a bit. I know it's not real. Just get me to believe it. Don't make it so obvious. But that's how I feel about it. There are people on YouTube who do pranks as well, prank phone calls as well. And I don't really pay attention to them. I believe that, prank phone calls went out of style a long time ago. Um, you know, I was really a big fan of them back when Ricky Smiley was doing them in the 90s. Back when back when you could actually buy into it. And Ricky Smiley, when he did prank phone calls, he didn't always call individuals. He would call businesses. The person who I actually believe is the best at prank phone calls and who is the most believable at prank phone calls is Big Boy from Big Boy's Neighborhood. Those calls are either 100% real or just done well enough that I believe that they are real, because most of the time he doesn't get cussed out. Most of the time, the people aren't angry at all. He just says some ridiculous shit and they have the reaction that a person would have to some random person calling up their place of business and saying some ridiculous shit. They just try to get by it and move along with their day and be as courteous, you know, as can be expected until it's time to get off the phone, until you realize this motherfucker is crazy and is wasting my time. So I'm certainly not trying to discourage anybody from, watching that show or say that the work that they put forward isn't funny or it isn't good. I like the show. I like Tommy on the show. He's funny. He has good insights from time to time. Um, does a lot of good characters. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I talk about the media and I talk about things in the media and I comment on things because I would like to see things improve. I would like to see things be better. I don't want to see everything stay on the same level. I don't want to see everything, just stay the way it is. Things can be better. Things can improve. Changes and tweaks can be made. And I feel that if you make changes and tweaks and alteration to prank phone calls, I believe that they can be popular again and they can go viral again. They can be a big deal that people talk about and that people believe are actually real, other than something that only a few people give a damn about. Well, that's all I got for this video. Let me know what you think of prank phone calls in the comments. Do you believe that they're real? Do you know anybody who does good prank phone calls, who does prank phone calls that you believe are legitimate? One that I would recommend that I believed that was pretty good, not necessarily a prank phone call, but just an unusual concept, is a guy who did videos, a few years back called IDumpForYou.com. If he still has a YouTube channel, if he hasn't deleted it, I'll link, his channel or one of his videos in the description. Rate the video, dislike, be honest. Video was kind of long. If you made it through the whole thing, then props to you. Subscribe to my channel if you want to hear me comment on things. If there's anything that you want me to talk about, anything in the media, anything that interests you, any subject at all, you can email me at themrmaskman@gmail.com. You can find my videos on Daily Motion. You can find me on Facebook, and you can also follow me on Twitter at the Mr. Maskman. That is all I have to say about this subject. So I will see you in the next video.